On the most recent ban list, Circular made it to limited status, and with it, Mathmech has returned to the realms of playability. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this Mathmech list post Aliance Insight, and then I'm going to show you a few combos you can do with the new support from the Aliance cards. So we'll start with the Mathmech lineup. We are playing one copy of Mathmech Circular, 2 Diameter, 2 Sigma, 2 Addition, 2 Subtraction, and 1 Nabla. Most of this is self-explanatory. Mathmech Nabla is one of those cards that is played in some Mathmech lists, and sometimes it is not. The reason for that is some people look at it as a brick, whereas other times people like it because it makes your hand trap plus parallel exceed combos significantly better. However, now it's a lot more important because it ties in really well with the Aliance cards. So we're going to start with backup Aliance. This card says, if you control a Cyberburst monster special summon from the extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Dark Cyberburst monster from your deck to your hand, except backup Aliance, then discard one card, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So this can grab the next card we'll be talking about in a second, as well as Mathmech Nabla, since it is a Dark Cyberburst monster, which is really cool. You'll also notice that this monster is a level 3 tuner. This is important because it means you can access this card off of Cyberburst Wicked, which is really easy to make in most Cyberburst decks, which makes this card really accessible. It's both an extender, it's something you can search to further your plays, and it's also a starter. There was a 1.5 card combo using backup Aliance, which does the entire Mathmech line by itself. The next card we want to talk about is Wizard Aliance. We're playing one copy of this guy, and it says, if you control a Cyberburst monster, special summon from the extra deck, you can target a Dark Cyberburst monster in your graveyard, special summon both this card from your hand and that monster in defense position. Also, you are locked into Cyberbursts for the rest of the turn. Oh no. And it also says you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, then target a monster your opponent controls, change its battle position, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So this card is exceptional. It summons someone from graveyard and it summons itself. It's searchable for free off of backup Aliance, which means backup Aliance is often free material for link summons, synchro summons, XZ summons, whatever you want to do, which is exceptional. This can also summon the Nabla back, obviously, because it is a Dark Cyberburst, which does come up, which is important to note. The next card to talk about is Parallel Exceed, which we are playing 3 copies of. Obviously, you want to play this in the deck because it makes Alan Version, and it's also just free link material. The important parts about these cards that I haven't gone over yet is their interaction with Nibiru. Now, Nibiru has always been an issue for Mathmech. If they aren't able to get Diameter underneath an Alan Version or one of the Synchros or a Location, it's very difficult for them to stop a Nibiru from resolving. These cards pair really, really well with Nibiru, being able to make a Link Spider, which turns all 3 of these cards on, which means you can extend through Nibiru very, very easily, and you can often search the piece to play through Nibiru. We're playing 3 copies of Cynet Mining and 3 copies of Small World. Small World is absolutely exceptional now with the release of Molchami Thoros. This card just solves all of the issues that we used to have with Small World, needing us to play like a bridge like a Jizukiru or a Dogoron or a Dotscaper to link like those last couple of cards. Thoros is absolutely exceptional. It links Nibiru with the 600 defense. It links Parallel Exceed and Droll because they're both wins. It's a level 4, so you can go from Mathmech name to Mathmech name without having to go through an intermediary spot like a Nibiru or something like that. It's absolutely exceptional. So Small World, even better than it used to be. 1 copy of Mathmech Equation and 1 copy of TAIES. I have no idea how you're supposed to pronounce this. We'll call it TAI. This card says, reveal 1 Cyberburst monster in your hand, apply this effect based on its attribute, also you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, except for Cyberburst monsters. If the monster you reveal is a Dark, you can special summon the revealed monster, and if you do, add 1 non-Dark level 4 or lower Cyberburst monster from your deck to your hand. I wonder if you could think of one of those. The second effect is, if you reveal a non-Dark, you shuffle the revealed monster into the deck, and if you do, add an Aliance monster with a different attribute from your deck to your hand. So essentially, if you reveal a Dark Cyberburst monster, you add Circular. If you reveal anything that's not a Dark, you add one of these guys. It's going to be this guy, probably, because of the level. Yeah, this card's exceptional, and it is searchable, which is why we're only playing 1. Of course, we are playing 1 copy of Mathmech Superfactorial, because it is the essence of how this deck works. And then we have 15 non-engine, 1 Talents, 1 Crossout, 1 Called By, 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 Veiler, 2 Nib, 2 Droll, 1 Thoros, and 1 Infinite Impermanence. Of course, you could play more than 1 Thoros, but if you want to optimize Small World lines, you only really need 1. This non-engine will change depending on what the format looks like post Aliance Insight. Obviously, you want to play a plethora of them, so your crossout is always live if you are playing it. We'll go into the extra deck now. We're playing 2 copies of Alan, 1 Laplacian, 1 Firewall Saber Dragon. Now this card says, if this card is synchro summoned, you can target a Cyberse monster in your graveyard or banishment and add it to your hand. This is really good for getting back your banished Sigmas or for returning your Mathmech Circulars, because we only have 1, and it's very nice to be able to get that card out of graveyard. It also says you can target 1 other Cyberse monster you control that has a level. This card's level becomes that monster's. Very good for making Alan in some lines. If this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can add an AI spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Firewall Saber Dragon once per turn. So this adds the previously mentioned TAI, which is really nice. We also play 1 copy of Almirage. This is for hand trap parallel lines. 1 copy of Link Rebo. This is for a lot of different lines. 1 Link Spider for the Nibiru lines. 1 Splash Mage, 1 Cyberse Wicked, 1 Update Jammer, 1 G Golem Crystal Heart for our Link 2s, alongside 1 Decode Talker, 1 Transcode Talker, 1 Access Code Talker, and 1 A Code Talker. So this is another one we have to talk about. So if this card is Link Summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon other monsters for the rest of this turn. Also special summon as many Cyberse monsters with 2,300 attack from your graveyard as possible to the zones this card points to. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack for each. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you contribute 1 link monster this card points to, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. You can only use this effect once per turn. So this is just an Omni Negate on a Link 5, which revives stuff like your Access Code, your Transcode, your Decode Talker, Heat Soul, and your Firewall Saber Dragon. Typically, you'll just be reviving a Decode Talker and a Firewall Dragon to his zones, which means he's a 3,300 Omni Negate, which is quite nice. I think this is probably the best big guy to end on post Aliance Insight. I think it's a little bit better than Terahertz, Dark Fluids, Singularity, etc. We'll talk about those in a second. This card's exceptional, and it's really easy to get to with little investment, which is nice. Now, this side deck is, A, just cards that are easy to get to, so I can read over here because Omega is a terrible platform, but also some other cards you might want to consider. Microcoder is a fantastic card to consider since it is searchable off of backup. Essentially, you can use it from the hand as link material if you're going to make a Code Talker monster, and if it's sent from the hand to the graveyard as link material, you can add a Cynet Spell Trap. If it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add a level 4 Cyberse, which means it searches for Circular. But if you're searching for a Spell Trap, you can search for Cynet Conflict, which is a counter trap, which is when your opponent activates a Spell Trap monster effect, and you control Code Talker monster, you can negate the activation, and if you do, banish it. And if you do, your opponent can activate cards or effects with that name for the rest of the turn. It's really good, but I don't know if it's better than just having the flexibility to go into either Wizard or Nablet, and I don't really think it's worth 2 main deck spots. Maybe you could side it for when you know you're going first and you want that extra counter trap to play around board breakers. Again, it will be dependent on the format. There's an Access Code Talker in here because I'd really like to be able to play a second Access Code Talker in the extra deck, but I really do not know what I would be able to cut because every single card in the extra deck currently does come up. It would be nice to be able to get to a second Access Code Talker. I just don't know what you would put in for it, to be honest. I'd also like a second Splash Mage, but that's also not possible. Dark Fluid, Singularity, and Terahertz are here to talk about the things you could play instead of the Echoed Talker. I'll talk about why I'm playing the ones I'm playing. So Dark Fluid is essentially in the lines where you go through both Alan and Saber. It's 2 monster negates, so it's kind of like a Appaloosa. It's good, it's really good, but it's 2 monster negates versus 1 Omni negate, and this Omni negate revives bodies like your Heat Soul, which allows you to get the additional draw in your opponent's turn without having to make the Heat Soul alongside the Dark Fluid, if that makes sense. So I think a Code Talker is slightly better than Dark Fluid, but it's certainly something you could consider. Singularity is here because, well, you can do big combos with this guy, I guess, like something like Firewall Dragons and probably the Dark Fluid with it, because it does revive your run Firewalls from the graveyard. However, that would take an immense amount of extra deck space, which I don't think the deck has, and that's basically the same argument for not playing Terahertz, because if Terahertz is a fantastic card, which is just as easy to get to as a code, and it gives you 2 interruptions with Disarb Worm and Aggregator, but you have to play the Aggregator and the Disarb Worm, and I just don't think there's enough space in the extra deck. And also, it can be very difficult to time Aggregator interruptions, and a code is just, okay, you did a thing that I don't like, I'm just going to negate and banish that card. So I think this card is definitely better than the other options. But if you think that that's not correct, well, please make sure to let me know in the comments section and give me your arguments, and I'm happy to listen to them. Right, so that is the deck list. It's now time to get into the combos. Now, one thing I do want to say about the combos is that I wanted to make sure that I was not using Splash Mage and Transcode Talker in the combos as much as possible, because you want to keep those cards for turn 2 for your OTK lines. Just keep that in mind when you look at the combos. There could be some lines where you could go further, but I did have that sort of restriction on myself. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. So this first combo is going to be the 1-card circular line. So we're going to start by sending our Sigma and summoning our Sigma, searching for a super factorial, and then making Alan Bershon to search for a copy of Diameter. We're going to summon Diameter and use it to reborn this circular before making a Wicked, and using Alan Bershon to tribute itself to summon the circular to search for a backup. From here we can make a Heat Soul and then use the backup to discard the card that we drew off the Heat Soul to search for a copy of the Wizard. From here we can make a Linger Rebo, then summon Wizard and backup to make a copy of Saber Dragon, adding back this Wizard as follow-up, before making a Code Talker, which allows us to special summon back this Heat Soul, while also searching a TAI. This gives us 2 points of follow-up, a Send Free and a Damn and Negate off the Trap, a Draw, and an Omni Negate off the Code. This next combo is going to be making a rank 4 with a Mathmech name, so we're going to make an Alan Bershon, search for Circular, and use Circular Effect to send a Sigma, and then use Sigma Effect to special summon itself back. From here we can search for Super Factorial and make a copy of Wicked, and use Alan Bershon to summon the Circular to search for backup once again. But this time we're going to summon the backup a little bit earlier, and search for a copy of Nabla, and then discard Nabla. From here we can make a Saber Dragon, adding back this Nabla, and then link off the Saber and the Wicked to go for a Crystal Heart, searching TAI, revealing the Nabla to summon itself, and then search for a copy of Diameter, then use the Nabla to summon Diameter and make the Heat Soul, drawing a card and setting the Trap. This allows us to have the Diameter as follow-up, as well as having the Send Free, a Damage Negate, and a Draw, which is quite nice. This next combo is going to be backup plus a discard, so we're going to start by backup, searching Wizard, pitching Nib, go for a Linger Rebo, and then summon Wiz and backup. From here we can go for the Firewall Saber Dragon, searching for backup, and then linking into a Sideburst Wicked, which triggers it to search for a TAI. From here we can special summon backup, since we normal summoned it previously, and search for a Nabla off the Wicked. We can then use TAI to reveal Nabla to special summon it, and then search for its Circular, and then use Circular to send the Sigma, and use the Nabla to summon a Diameter to get it into rotation, and then search for a Super Factorial, chain blocking with the Nabla. From here we can go for Heat Soul, searching or drawing a card, and then go for the Code Talker to summon back the Heat Soul and the Saber, getting the Draw, the Send Free, Damage Negate, and the Omni Negate. The Damage and follow-up is just a Draw in this case. The last combo is going to be Hand Trap plus Parallel, so we're going to start by normal summoning Pharaoh, summoning both our copy of Parallel Exceed, and then searching for Alan Bershon, or summoning Alan Bershon to search for Circular. Circular sends Nabla, Alan Bershon tribute itself, summon Nabla, search for Super Factorial. Nabla will be summoning a Diameter to the Wicked point to search for our backup. And from here, we can use the 2 monsters to go into Heat Soul to get our draw for our backup discards. We can summon the backup, discard the Nib, search for the Wizard, and do the same line we did previously, making a Linger Rebo for the Wizard, for the backup, for the Saber to add back the follow-up, and then go for an Code. So in this final line, we have basically what we had for the first line, which was the circular combo, with an Omni Negate, a draw, send free Damage Negate, and 2 points of follow-up. God, I felt like I was almost rapping at the end there. I'm going to have to find a better way to record these combos. However, those are the combos I wanted to show in today's video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on the video and subscribed for any future content that we do release. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.